All right, greetings from HOD Pod, an unofficial podcast and YouTube series on HBO's House of the Dragon. I am your host, the Dark Knight of Westeros, Sir Benjamin of David, and with me as always is my Hand of the King, Sir Stephen of House Davinci. Say hello, Stephen.
Hello.
We are recording live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop here in sunny Jensen Beach, Florida. We got comics, we got games, we got 7 dragons in this week's Dragon Count. Awesome stuff. Once again, comics, the Tales from the Three Kingdoms and the Dark Knights of Steel is a highly recommended comic if you're into the DC Universe and Game of Thrones, because it's kind of the betrothing of the two. It's a pretty dope book. Love it. So yeah, stop into Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop for some Dark Knights of Steel. Anyway, please subscribe to both audio and here on the channel so you guys don't miss an episode. We are now on Instagram at House of the Dragon Pod and Facebook coming soon. So today we are going to recap and review HOD Episode 7, House of the Dragon Episode 7, Driftmark. We have news from the Red Keep, as always. Some non-spoiler thoughts. There'll always be a wall. It's his Game of Thrones. It is Westeros. We have our wall. Recap, review proper. That's when we walk through the episode with spoilers, kind of beat by beat of the episode. We take little breaks throughout with our dragon counts of which this week, again, very exciting. 7 dragons, right? Yeah, I didn't mean to spoil the dragon count. I guess we're done with dragon counts now. No. But yeah, we will go into detail of which 7 dragons we saw. We have lull breaks throughout. Stephen has read the books upon which House of the Dragon is based, or I should say book, Fire and Blood. But he's also read A Song of Ice and Fire, on which Game of Thrones is based. So Benjamin is not, so it's good to have Stephen with us, as always. And then finally this week we have no IG polls at House of the Dragon Pod, but we do have an IG comment that I thought was pretty interesting, and it applies to Driftmark this week's episode. So ready, Stephen? Let's do it.
Yep, ready.
So yeah, as always, we start with our news from the Red Keep. I have heard that people, this is a little late, this episode, not just 2 days after we normally record, which is Monday at 11:30 AM EST on YouTube. But, and by the way, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. I don't know if I told you guys to subscribe there, but please do that. So today we're recording on Wednesday, but even that, I think I always say, every episode pretty much, that I try not to read other reviews or see other reviews before I do our review. Which means that I kind of have to catch up from last week, meaning that last week was officially our first, or was it the week before, was our first cast change, time jump.
We've had cast changes throughout the series.
Okay.
Because they've had, Lena age up and a few of the other characters, but this was, the first, main cast change.
Okay. So, yeah, this is the first week to kind of report on that, which is that a lot of people were not feeling the time jump and especially the change of cast.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people really liked Millie Alcock's performance as Princess Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
So they were definitely sad to see her go.
Yeah, I don't, the more I watch it, the less I'm liking it, to be honest. We talked last episode, I don't want to get into details about that because this is, again, just our little news segment here. But I don't know. I'm agreeing with people more and more. The other thing I heard someone say, interestingly, is you could do all this digital de-aging. You can make Michael Douglas in a Marvel movie look like he's 30, but we can't make a 20-year-old look 30. Just keep Millie Alcock, age her up. Whatever. Any thoughts before we move on from that point?
No.
No, okay. And as I said last week, I'm having similar problems too. Again, we're going to get into all these details when we get into the actual walkthrough, but I don't think the time jump is serving them very well, also plot-wise. Not that it's not serving them. I don't think they're taking the advantage that they could with it. I think they are rushing through it as a result. And we're going to talk about examples of that I have big problems with this week.
Yeah, I can feel the rush now, too.
Yeah.
Early on, it's not as bad. It's basically meant to sow the seeds of dissension that's been going on and the rivalries that start to form, because a lot of this stuff takes place definitely years, because we're not even to the point yet where the Dance of the Dragons part happens. That's probably not until next episode where we get yet another cast change. Should be the final one, I believe, until the series is done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where the meat of everything and the conflict comes from. So there are early time jumps early in the first half. That's just to show like how Otto Hightower was like constantly like pecking at everything, and Alicent was slowly like committing to the cause and following the rules, and Rhaenyra's breaking from the tradition, and that was just like a constant build-up. I'm not sure now that really follows through. Maybe it's the new cast. I'm not quite sure yet until I see a few more episodes of them, obviously.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. And again, I have an open mind. I had an open mind going into the cast change. I was like, all right, if you're doing time jumps, I think it's an interesting thing. We don't often get that in a show. If I forget the series, but someone was saying on a podcast that there's a show that does that. I think it's The Crown. The Crown does a time jump every season, but you at least get a full season, almost like a mini series per cast.
Yeah.
Versus changing it mid-season. So maybe that's where a lot of the issues are coming from too.
Yeah, that's very possible. I know a lot of people are starting to adapt to the characters. I mean, that was a big part of Game of Thrones. Like, you get introduced to a new character, they do a really great job of getting you to like the character, and you're normally with that character for the season. I know people love Pedro Pascal's character from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then, when he gets taken out in the very end, well, that's just what Game of Thrones does. But in this, it does seem a lot faster. It's like, I hope you like this person because we're going to change the actor. Oh, okay.
And then they'll die half an episode later, and you're like, I didn't even get a chance to care at all.
Yeah, like Lena's actress. She changed for the last episode, died in the episode.
Yeah.
And so now we're at her funeral.
And I'll even argue Harwin Strong. I mean, I know we technically got that same actor in the pre-time jump, but it's like we didn't get to know him pre-time jump. So, and again, we talked about this last episode, but it's like him dying, her dying. It's just, and again, I think it does, however, feed into this episode, if you want to keep it relevant, is like we're supposed to be grieving both of these people this whole episode. Like the whole thing opens with a 15-minute funeral of Lena. That's like a character that, again, I don't know her. So, anyway.
She was the 12-year-old that was going to marry Viserys.
Right. She was the 12-year-old who was going to marry Viserys. And she was the one that was flirting with Daemon at the wedding for 2 minutes. And that didn't get paid off.
This episode was supposed to be what I was looking forward to for her. Because she's obviously the writer of Vhagar, which we know from last episode. That was a big deal in the book, that she, as a child, was able to go and claim like the most powerful dragon around. And obviously have to put a net on him so she can climb him because she's a little kid and it's a gigantic dragon, the biggest that there is. And we didn't get that. We just kind of time skipped right through all that. I guess she has him. I guess she doesn't. Then last episode, no, she definitely does have him. And now Vhagar's lighting her on fire. Okay, well, that's it for that one. On to the next writer of Vhagar.
You can't superhero death that one back to life. She's torched for good. I'll skip this next news from the Red Keep piece because we're just going to lament about it throughout the next episode. So let us jump. Now we're going to go to non-spoiler. So non-spoiler thoughts on episode 7, Driftmark. Steven.
Overall, this was definitely better than the last two.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on an upward trend at least. Still a lot of interesting dialogue choices. The lighting choices weren't great. I know they were on purpose, but I don't think I would have done that necessarily. We see some good character moments that are important from the book, and obviously important to the story as whole, especially with the young princes. Because they're obviously what is fueling the conflict later on.
The young bastards, you say?
No, the actual, prince.
Which princes?
Aemon.
Oh, Aemon. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Aegon's just too busy getting drunk and banging servant girls and kicked around by Otto. Straight up, he just kicked the shit out of him. I was like, oh, that's his last episode, too. Sorry, Ty Tennant.
Any other thoughts? Non-spoiler on Driftmark.
We got a lot of dragons. That's always fun. I do like Driftmark. I think the setting is really nice.
Yeah, I do too.
I like visiting places that we haven't really got to see in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been adding all this. And, yeah, just seeing the hall, the castle, everything. Like it's cool. It's a nice little setting, cool place to be. I'm glad that we go there so often. I imagine we'll obviously be there quite often for the remainder of the episodes, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I like that, because Thrones, a big complaint that people have had is that this show is not, that House of the Dragon is not as, I don't know if worldly is the word, but the point is you're not exploring all of Westeros geographically the way that Game of Thrones did. You were kind of all over the place geographically in that show, whereas we're only focused on mostly King's Landing and just wherever the Targaryens and the Valerians are. In this case, Driftmark, King's Landing, we've seen the Stepstones, we've seen Pentos, but it's not, again, nearly as a world globe-trotting, whatever you want to call it. So it is cool to, get Driftmark kind of as much as we can to break up the geography there. I guess my non-spoiler thoughts, I was not a fan of this episode. I would agree to rank them. I honestly didn't even think about that. It is an improvement for the last two. But, yeah, the time jump problems, and again, we're going to get into all the specifics when we get over the wall, but it's just the way they're dealing with the time jumps, I don't think is serving the story well at all. I think it feels very rushed. I'm getting, PTSD of season 8 rushing, where it's not that bad, but like just kind of Daenerys flipping out of nowhere and burning all of King's Landing. It's like a similar thing happens with Alicent, in my opinion, in this episode, which annoys me further because it's essentially the thrust of the civil war that is probably about to break out, is her just completely rushing to her. Like, I wouldn't have minded if maybe next episode or if they just paced it better for her to flip out as violently as she does. But what she's asking for, what she's requesting politically, what she's saying about what needs to be done in a violent way, it was just like, what the fuck is happening? And it's just a complete transformation of a character that, in my opinion, was not, it didn't feel well-paced.
See, I saw it as that she broke down finally. She finally snapped. The whole idea of Alicent is that she's the one that's followed the rules, followed what Daddy told her to do, followed what the king said, had the babies, did all of her responsibilities, and this is how she's rewarded for it. While Rhaenyra hasn't followed any rules, and everyone turns an eye to her, but yeah, everyone knows, because like everyone says, like, yeah, we know that those kids are bastards. And it's like the king's like, but what are you gonna do? And the king's like, no, they're not. Deal with it. So yeah, it's a constant reminder for Alicent to look at Rhaenyra and those kids, and to just be like, she's always breaking the rules. She just gets to do whatever she wants.
Why does she get to do what she wants?
Exactly.
Daddy?
And so what are we looking at here? 15 years of watching Rhaenyra go crazy, and so she's finally like at a snapping point, and she's obviously in an upset state because of obviously what happens to one of the kids, and that pushes her over the edge. She's just like, I'm sick of it. I want to get what I want. Where's my pie?
Yeah, I mean, I see the Willy Wonka, bratty girl coming out. I just the way it was delivered, I don't think was well done. Visually, the darkness shit drove me nuts. Like, again, I don't want to get it too into detail because we're still in non-spoilers, but holy shit, like in Point Break, that movie came out in 1990. It's like, obviously the shots of them, the famous scene of them doing like moon surfing, I mean, it was clearly shot during the day and they just darkened it because it's a surfing bank robber movie from 1990 with Keanu Reeves. You can kind of get away with that. It's 2022 and we are so obviously just shooting something during the day and turning down the darkness in post, and it fucking drove me nuts, especially because it said directed by Miguel Sapochnik. Miguel Sapochnik, as we've talked about many times, he's show running this season. He's executive producer on next season. He is infamous, let's say, for how fucking dark Battle of Winterfell was. And he just did the same thing, turned down the darkness for no good fucking reason on this too. In a way where at least Battle of Winterfell was at night. Like, that's at night. This is day. What is it? Why are people going to bed at 4 in the afternoon? And like, none of this shit made sense to me. I had no sense. I had no, it drove me nuts visually. And I guess we'll just get to specifics when we get to the walkthrough. But, and I guess before we get to that, yeah, real quick, just to kind of finish my non-spoilers. So visually that drove me nuts. I didn't like the time jump stuff. And then, yeah, just dialogue. I think that was another big problem I had with this episode, was very forced, very contrived dialogue of like just super obvious symbolism about, we are the house of fire. They are the house of the sea. And just, again, we'll get to specifics, but holy shit. So forced, so cheesy. Like the voiceover problems that I had with past episodes as well also happened with this episode. Like, just either show us or tell us. Why are you keep overlapping in the ends of the episodes? This is what we're planning, but this is what's really happening visually. And here's this, and even whatever twist, again, I don't want to, get it spoil here, but there is a twist at the end that like, that twist would have meant a lot more and was a lot cooler if you had just shut up while it was happening. Like,
You mean the twist that doesn't follow the book?
Yeah.
Well, but we had to pander. We had to pander for that ending.
Yeah, and then as Steven, I like having Steven around, it made it even worse knowing that it wasn't even based on lore. So again, finally, before we get into the walkthrough, wasn't a big fan, but yeah, I'll agree. It was an improvement. And I do have hope. I mean, we have 3 episodes left for the season, so it's like, we'll continue doing the podcast. I'll try not to complain for no reason, but damn, I just feel like, especially in comparison to Thrones, which is inevitable to compare, it's not really living up to Thrones standards, in my opinion.
I mean, it's doing better in season 8.
It's better than season 8. I'll give you that. But that's a low bar. We'll call this late season 7 standards. Oof. Ouch. All right, so our walkthrough, we hop over the wall. I should say hop. We climb the wall, Steven.
Of course.
We ice pick the wall. All right, so we open at Driftmark. We have the sea funeral for Lena. It was kind of interesting. The Valerians are committed to the sea upon death, whereas Targaryens are committed to dragonfire. I like that.
Yep, they still believe in the sea god Merlin, which we see a statue of him in the
Hole of Nine.
No, not in the Hole of Nine. We see it in Game of Thrones. The House of Black and White, where Arya is trained to be an assassin.
Yeah.
The statue of all the gods are in there, including Merlin.
What, so all the old god statues, that's what those are?
Yeah, all of them are there.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And, yeah, he's actually a bigger deal in the books. He gets mentioned quite a lot. Surprisingly, because when we watch Game of Thrones, it seems like the only water god you hear, of course, from the pirate dudes, as always. They're like, the drowned god, because he's drowned.
What is dead may never die.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Got it. You are octopus and boring. Yeah. No, Kraken is what I meant to say. Damon awkwardly laughs during the ceremony, which
reminds me of that meme. Very sad. Anyway, yeah, the Loki meme's ready to go. Like, all right, here we go.
What do you think that was about?
He was just laughing because fuckface, the brother, Corus's brother, is literally like going on and on about like the bloodlines must be pure, kind of like gazing over at the kids, like, because they're not.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Oh yeah, he was gazing right at them, and that's why he snickered, because he's just like,
oh, okay,
yeah, okay, dude.
I'm glad that was for something. I just thought that was. For a second, I thought it was Damon just being like anti-religious, like anti-establishment.
No, he was just laughing at that guy.
Got it.
He's like, yeah, come on, dude. It's like, no one gives a shit about what you think.
That's funny. So Rhaenyra wants her bastard to bring comfort to his little cousins. This is the after the funeral ceremony. They do essentially what is the repass, I think they call it, which is, you don't want to call it a party, but the funeral party. Let's be real. And so everybody's gathered together. There's like 4 to 5 different kind of conflict / storylines going on in this scene that I found pretty boring. 15 to 20 minutes of this post-funeral thing that could have been 10 minutes.
Well, with the kids, at least, that scene I thought had some merit because, the cousins are crying, obviously.
Yeah,
their mom is dead.
Yeah, I did like this.
And Rhaenyra wants the eldest to go and comfort them, to show that they're family. But he's like, why are we even here? We should be at the funeral at Harrenhal, because of the Strongs. He's like, we're not Strongs. We're not related to them. We're here. He's like, dude, that was my dad that just died in a fire. So secretly, the elder kid is grieving for his father because he knows his father was strong and died in a fire. And he's brought here and he has to grieve for somebody that doesn't know. And then so he kind of awkward was like, yeah, I guess I'll get comfort. But it was kind of like mutual. So he walks over and stands next to them. And then, of course, the eldest daughter reaches up for his hand.
And that was touching.
And it's kind of like a mutual, like, getting over grief. Well, she doesn't know why he is specifically upset. And a lot of people are duly upset as they're supposed to be because Laenor is also, like, fucking just on his knees in the ocean upset.
Yeah, he is really... were they twins or...
No, because he's older.
He's
but
older, okay.
They're close.
They're tight, yeah.
When you live in Driftmark, like, your family is like a more tight-knit bond. They work together, they fight together, they bleed. Like, they were doing the stepstones and stuff. Like, so their whole thing was like family. That's how Corlys is. Importance of the line.
Yes. History remembers names, not blood. Yeah. I actually like that line. That was a pretty insightful analysis of history in general. Like, that is what history remembers is names, not blood. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sister Targaryen playing with bugs again. What is this girl's name? Helena?
So now I can say it because I didn't want to over-spoil last episode.
Yes.
So with last episode, she was playing with bugs again. We were just like, she's a nerd. Well, okay, she's a dragon dreamer, which is what... why the Targaryens even left and avoided the Doom is because one of the daughters,
Doom of Valyria,
was one of the dragon dreamers. She can kind of see the future. They just don't know how to perceive it per se. So in this case, when she's talking about the centipede the first time, she's mentioning various things because Alicent's kind of going off about the brother being upset and how he's going to get a dragon one day, and she says it'll cost him an eye. Well, of course, that's because of this episode and how it is in the book.
Okay.
But she's going through counting the feet and the rings. And when she gets to the last ring, she's like, the last ring has no legs. And you'll see a lot of people online that are saying, oh, well, this is probably Bran because he's the last king that we know of and he got no legs. It's like, yeah. Well, you could infer that.
I got no legs.
You could infer that. But this is stuff also from the book, which obviously they don't know. We don't know if he's going to be king in the book or not. He might be. Maybe. Because Game of Thrones isn't done yet. Oh, still got 2 books to go.
Right.
But
so that wouldn't necessarily connect. Yeah,
it does pay to something that will happen in this show. So about legs and a certain person, but I won't say it yet. But just keep your eyes out on the kids, the Viserys' kids specifically.
The non-bastards.
Yes, the non-bastards.
The purebloods.
Because obviously the first vision she had was about one of them. That means the other one is about the last kid.
The plain-featured purebloods.
Yes. Oh, so in this case, she's playing with a spider. And the spider is meant to be Larys. Like, he's creeping around, and so she captures him in the shells. What
is she saying about him? Like, do I have the line here? No, I don't.
It's basically... non-generic stuff about how he's deceptive and dangerous and blah blah. He's a spider. It's like, got it. We know how creepy he is. That's why his nickname is Creepy Strong, and he continues to be creepy, awkwardly staring at people.
Yeah. So
weird.
Kristen Cole flat out says he's unabashedly staring at you since the funeral, and it's like, what? Yeah. What effective bad guy in a movie has ever done this for like? However long in real time, what are they doing with this character?
I don't know. He's the Lord of Harrenhal now, so hopefully the curse of Harrenhal strikes him down too.
Oh, and speaking of Harrenhal, I got a bone to pick with that. So Harrenhal, let's do a quick lore break. Historically, the big event is that the whole place gets torched by dragons, right? Yeah. So now, without
Balerion the Dread, he melts the stone.
So Balerion the Dread is who torched Harrenhal?
Oh, yeah.
So this was before...
This is during the conquest.
This is during Aegon's conquest. I just wish they had made... And going back to Game of Thrones, it's like season 2, those amazing scenes between Charles Dance...
Yep, and Arya.
Between Tywin Lannister and Arya, I mean, some of the best. One of the oldest characters and the youngest characters coming together. He doesn't know who she is. She's the cupbearer at the time, and like she's learning all this shit about Harrenhal. We learn the background.
Great scenes, man. I love those
amazing
episodes.
Scenes. Like for people to say like season 2 is not their favorite, it surprises the shit out of me because those scenes between those two characters are some of the best. Point is, going back to Harrenhal. Historically, this place has been this like big fire. The whole place was torched.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, if you're gonna set two important characters on fire last episode, and not even mention that this is this place that is entrenched with a history of like evil fire, let's call it. Why didn't you could have thrown us something about that? It was just so bad. Like they didn't give any importance of fire to Harrenhal, where it's crucially important.
They didn't give any importance to the Strongs, so that's why we're not at their funeral. That's why Jace is like, why can't I mourn for Daddy?
Such a good point. Why
we don't talk about Harrenhal, that's why. Now shut up and go comfort your cousin.
Why would I bother complaining about Harrenhal if they're not even going to have us care about the people being killed? Yeah. Good point, Steven. So
I guess be lucky you actually saw it, because it's a place we've already been to in Game of Thrones. We got to go to new places.
Good point. All right, so then we have the so the young bastard Strong has a good line. If I'm Lord of Driftmark, it means everyone's dead. I genuinely thought that was a good line. He's talking to Corlys.
Yeah, I thought it was a good line too.
You know, this is going to be your inheritance, and he's essentially like, yeah, that reality means that everyone's dead.
Yeah, it gives you an insight specifically into how those two view things. Like they seem to be
what two?
The two bastard ones.
Okay.
Jace and them. So, like, Jace is being prepped to be the next heir after Rhaenyra. But you notice that he's more concerned with, like, the lives of his loved ones. And, like, he's going to be one of the first ones that stands up to misjustice and tries to do the right thing. Like
blood over fire.
Right. And in this case, and even just like family ties too, because like he'll defend the Valerians as well when they need it, which happens in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
The younger one looks at status and life more altruistically. So he's like, no, like if I'm here, that means everyone that I care about is dead. So why would this be a position that matters to me? At that point, like Chorus is all about, no, it's the line. We got to keep the line and the family going. It's like, it doesn't matter if I die. This is how we live on. But he wants to live like for his family in the moment, do things that matter now, than worry about doing things for later. So that gives you a proper like look at the headspace between those two kids and Viserys's kids. Helena's dragon dreaming. Aemond is silent and weird, and so he's picked on by the others, more so by Aegon, because Aegon just looks to get drunk and joke at everything. Everything's just a big joke to him. Yeah, which irritates the shit out of him.
He's easily bored.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As a young kid who grows up in a castle, probably would be. Just want to masturbate out the window, Mom.
Just want to jerk off onto the people.
Yes, they need my seed, my dragon seed.
I just found it really interesting, like this show, and quick sidebar, we're not going to talk in detail about the show Succession, but have you ever seen HBO Succession?
I have not.
Really good show. I will say it takes a couple episodes to get into, but I highly recommend it. Season 2 in particular is fucking so good, dude. Like the season 2 finale of Succession is why that show takes home a ton of awards, which I think it does. It's at least nominated for a bunch. But the point is, Succession's a very strong show, and it's obviously about succession, in this case, of a billionaire family, modern day New York billionaire, kind of a Disney. It's almost like if Walt Disney meets Fox News. So it's like they have theme parks. They have, you know, like a big media empire, but it's also like this semi-shady news organization that gives them a lot of the power that they have. Point is, you know, this show is very much about Succession. Like, there was themes of Succession throughout Game of Thrones. That's obviously very integral to the Game of Thrones, as it were. But this show focuses a lot more on Succession. And just that insight of, like, because the show Succession is very much about what kicks it off is the main character has a stroke. And it's like, oh, well, if dad's, you know, a vegetable right now, what happens to the family? So for these kids to, but, you know, of course, then there's people who are almost happy about it and like, yeah, you know, but this kid's going like, no, like Succession means that everyone's dead. I just thought that was a really smart, very like a kid who thinks kind of outside the box and is, yeah, insightful and smart. I thought that was cool. Cool. So then we have his name is Eamon, the one drinking his ass off.
Aegon.
Okay. Which is also very like, if you've ever been to a funeral with a big family, there's always a kid getting drunk somewhere because they have access to alcohol, whereas they normally don't. People, specifically with a funeral over weddings, you know, it's a thing of like, yeah, let him drink. There's a death.
He's grieving.
Yeah, he's grieving. Just give him alcohol. It's totally fine. So, I just thought it was a very real world thing. Laenor, again, we talked about, he's super broken up about Laena. He's like just hanging out in the ocean, will not leave the surf, will not leave his sister who's been committed to the sea, it seems. Mm-hmm. And then Corlys has this funny line, retrieve your patron, to his boyfriend Carl with the Q.
Yeah.
Which is kind
Carl! Retrieve your patron. In the books, that guy gets picked on a lot because obviously Corlys does not like that his son is gay and or that he's got a man sex slave roaming around that he gives fancy things to. He'll have none of that, not in his house.
No fancy man sex slaves?
No.
The king makes a peace offering to Daemon, which gets ignored and rejected. He's like, the gods can be cruel. And then Daemon's like, yeah, it seems like they can be especially cruel to you, decrepit brother.
Well, I think I felt like that.
I want nothing of your peace offering, and walks away.
I thought it was also just a reminder of Daemon was like trying to tell him earlier in the season about them. Because he even mentions that
about whom?
About Otto and everyone. Because he sees Otto's Hand of the King again, because that's how we get introduced to him again. Oh, you see the Hand of the King sigil, and you're like, oh, it's Otto again, which you knew was going to happen.
Which again was so contrived. It's like there's other people who are qualified. Like that plan was so dumb of, oh, we'll just kill the current one, so then you'll have to get your old one.
Not when the Queen's like, but Daddy does a good job. And yeah, so, and of course, so that's the whole point. He says to him, it's like it's been treating you, because he tried to warn him that everyone is out for themselves and he was going to pay the price. And obviously, he walks by, Otto says some words. He's like, yep, the leech is getting fat, which is just a reminder of using the leeches on Viserys himself.
Another hand-fisted line, in my opinion. It's like, come on.
At least it had double meaning because he's calling Otto a leech.
Yeah.
And yes, they were using leeches.
Well, that's what annoyed me. I wouldn't have minded it, honestly. I wouldn't have minded it if we hadn't gotten actual physical leeches. Like that, there was a double meaning is what annoyed me. Just like, come on, dude. Just annoying fucking dialogue. Shortly before this, the sun retreats behind the Hall of Nine. And so begins one of my greatest annoyances of the episode, which is, what time of day is it, and why is it so damn dark?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my god!
Didn't they send one of the kids to bed early?
Yeah.
And it was like
so first
daylight?
Viserys, he's like, "I'm off to bed, Emma," and that's when he calls her Emma.
Yeah.
And one of the kids right after that, she's like, "Oh, you should go to bed too." And we're like, "What? It's 4 p.m."
Yeah, because Otto also kicks the shit out of Aegon for being drunk. He's like, you get to bed. It's like, does time move differently on Driftmark? Because I don't understand.
And also, does light? Yeah, does time move different? Does light okay? So yes, the sun is obscured by a castle, the Hall of Nine, but it doesn't mean that makes everything dark. Like, I don't know. We live in Florida. There's a lot of sunshine here. If a palm tree goes in front of the sun. It's not like now it's night. What the fuck is happening, dude?
Yeah.
Is that
We can tell you that even when there's a hurricane during the day, it's still day out. Yeah, it's still, you could still see the sun.
Well, also, the camera is depicting the sun. That's not the moon. So we're looking at the sun. You just darkened it. I don't, like, literally, do you know why this happened? Because I don't want to harp too much on this.
I don't know. They're just like, it's food choice. We wanted to set the mood, I guess. I don't, because things are darkening for the realm, maybe? I have no idea. I'm just like, visually, I think you could do something else. But, dragon counts. You know who else is at the funeral? Some dragons are at the funeral.
All right, hold on. Before we get to that, though, I have to say, I'm going to bitch about the darkness for one more minute, and it's this. This even made the news. Like, again, I really do my best. I don't read articles, but, you'll catch headlines here and there on Instagram, whatever. IGN puts out a thing, and it's just like, it's director's choice to make or people had, whatever it was about people having a problem with it being dark again. I mean, it literally made the news of people going, why are you making the fucking episode dark again? Ugh.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I knew I wouldn't be the only one. It just drove me especially nuts that this wasn't, what is your excuse this time, literally? It's like, it's not a nighttime battle. It's the day, and all of a sudden it's the night. And all of a sudden, it's Point Break.
We need kids to go to bed because mommy and uncle have to get down.
All right, so yes.
Dragons. There are dragons at the funeral.
Hold on real quick. Wait, so Laenor returns from the sea, blah, blah, blah. All right, so yeah, talk about, do you want to do a dragon count yet?
Well, yeah, because you see two sets of dragons.
All right,
we
so
see a lot of dragons.
Let us do our dragon count. Go for it.
Yes. So in this moment, when we arrive to Driftmark and we see the castle, you see the dragons sitting up there waiting, and there are 5 present. You see Melees, that's the queen that never was dragon. You see Cyrax, that's Rhaenyra's dragon. They're sitting close to each other. Up above is Sea Smoke, that's Laenor's dragon. You see Syraxes also kind of flying by. That's Daemon's dragon.
That was a cool visual, like the funeral, and then you go up, and it's just dragons.
Yeah, the dragon's waiting. And then the one far off in the distance flying, that's Vhagar. That's Laena's dragon, the one whose funeral we're at. So even the dragon is paying homage to its previous rider, because obviously that means a lot to the dragons when they lose a rider.
Yeah, it felt like I got a feeling. They did a good job of presenting the feeling of like the dragons are kind of mourning as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also the more obvious, like, damn, dude, this is why no one fucks with these people. That's their security.
Yeah.
It's like 7 dragons.
It's like, I'm here for the funeral party. And the dragons are like, name. Looks at the list. Nope.
He's got a tux on.
Yeah.
A black suit. Name.
Sorry, you were supposed to go to the Strong's funeral in Harrenhal. We can send you there in spirit. Very fast. In fire, just like the Strongs.
Just like this. Much like the grieved. All right, so yeah, let's move on here. So Corlys and the Queen, who never was talking. Wait, sorry, what am I saying here? Corlys. Oh yes, this is the Queen who never was. That confused me in my writing here.
Yep.
So we have Corlys and his wife Rhaenys, who, aka the Queen who never was, and they are talking in the Hall of Nine by the fire. So they're arguing over Corlys's intentions. You know, he's like, what is this brief mortal life if not the pursuit of legacy? And she's like, legacy might be why you live your life, husband. All right, this felt, I liked it a little bit. It felt like Shakespearean, but I don't know.
A little. It's basically...
Not Shakespeare in a bad way,
Yeah, it just gets down to the part that, she's tired of the game. She's given up that they passed her for queen.
Yeah. So
she's right now looking after her line, her grandchildren are what's important now. They don't like Daemon. They got to just deal with Daemon. So at this point, they're like, we should be like setting up one of the grandkids to be the heir to Driftmark instead. Basically, because she knows that the other two are bastards.
Rhaenyra's children are not of your blood.
But like all the dads in this, they're all blind to everything. Viserys is blind. Corlys is blind. Everyone's blind. I thought I thought that was going to be a line. I was like, all these cheesy cringe lines. Why didn't we get the line where the one prince, after the incident, he doesn't say, even as blind as I am, and I can see that they're bastards. Like, come on, man. Just the writing's right there.
Yeah. Didn't even take advantage of that cheesiness.
Nope. Nope. But yeah, they just go through the line. He's like, no, it's about people remember names, not bloodlines. That's all that matters. He's a Valerian, so he's a Valerian. Deal with it.
History does not remember blood, it remembers names. Which, again, I think it's clever. It's
kinda, except when your blood can ride dragons, then they remember blood.
Yeah, and also, like, it's a smart line if you buy that that's his point of view. But as you said, I don't buy that this many people are this dumb. Like, if you want old Viserys to be kind of like the token old grandpa who wants to turn his back on the truth and he's turning senile, fine. But, like, you can't multiply that stupidity among this many characters. Not this many people in the universe of Game of Thrones are that dumb.
I think in this case, it really just doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter that the king's not willing to accept it. The king can make truth whatever he wants. They've literally given bastards titles in Game of Thrones. Gendry got officially given his title by Daenerys. Ramsay got granted a Bolton by his dad officially, and Robb Stark was going to legitimize Jon Snow before he got killed at the Red Wedding. That was his intention. He was going to do that. And so, yeah, if they say that this is what it is, and that's how it is. So when the king's like,
you could even
no,
argue,
they're my grandkids, fucking deal with it. And it's like, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. He's like, I can decree it right now. That's what they are. Suck it.
Yeah.
The king.
I am the king. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's like, do you buy that this many characters are this blind to this?
I don't think that they're...
Or you're saying it's because it doesn't matter.
It's because it doesn't matter.
Got
so, like, yes, everyone knows, which they make a big point, that everyone knows that they're bastards. But as long as the king is like, no, that's how they are. Yeah. Corlys, on the other hand, he made his point. It doesn't matter what the bloodlines say. Those kids are Valerians as far as history is concerned, as far as he is concerned.
That's a good point. So they're not saying that Corlys is as dumb as the king. It's more saying him preferring what we just said of, like, history remembers names, not blood.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, and then we have Daemon Rhaenyra walking on the dark-ass beach. Once again, Battle of Winterfell Dark for no clear reason. I'm done with the darkness. Moving on. Rhaenyra talks about how she and Laenor tried but failed at coupling.
Yeah.
Daemon argues that Alicent was likely behind the Strong killings, to which Rhaenyra denies.
Yeah, she doesn't see that Alicent could do that, which, her instincts are right, because Alicent definitely didn't want that to happen. Creepy Strong just did that and goes, now you owe me one.
Yeah. Which, again, this is the thing of, like, would Alicent be that, like, well, thanks, I guess. We'll keep you around, even though you just did something fucking horrible that I did not order you to do.
Oh, yeah, I would have immediately been like, Sir Cuck of Coal, can you please, that guy as soon as he comes back.
Because I just, like, he's too dangerous, too unpredictable. Why would you want someone like that? And again, the way that they presented him doing that assassination was so rushed and dumb with the whole voiceover thing, and those two, him revealing to her that it happened and her reaction to it, all that shit was terrible in my opinion. So, like, for her this episode to just be like, shrug, so dumb. Let's keep this guy around and let him stare at me at funerals. Whew. So they have some contrived common ground here. I'm at least allowed to mourn my losses. So it's like, yes, he's mourning his betrothed, and she's mourning her bastard betrothed, and blah, blah, blah. I guess you were as into this as I was.
The whole, all the beach stuff doesn't really matter. There's some other stuff happening at the same time. That stuff's important. We get fucking GTA dragons up on this beach.
Yes. All right, so let's finish real quick just this scene, and then we'll get to the GTA dress. So funny. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra goes in for the kill. I'm no longer a child. Yeah, we know, because you've been recast, and you're 10 years older. We get it, bitch. That's not bitch, as in, it's the colloquial bitch, sorry. Sex scene in the skeleton of a beach ship, which, you know, as far as for a show that's
that's why I had to be night so no one could see them banging.
I mean, it wasn't well shot anyway. So for a series like Game of Thrones show, you know, sex scenes should be good. That I don't know.
Yeah, the
Wasn't a
Christian
great
Cole
one.
sex scene was shot way better than this.
Way better.
The Alicent one where she's just doing her best while Viserys is doing his best was shot better.
But again, this was Miguel Sapochnik. Maybe it's not a male problem, but there were plenty of males who directed Game of Thrones that shot good sex scenes. I mean, dude, at one point, literally, Daemon has his pants on still. Like, what is happening? Is this like HBO softcore or Cinemax softcore? Like, what?
Maybe it's just to show you the skills of Daemon. Daemon's like, ha, I can do it with my pants still on, baby.
Through the pants, niece.
Hey, the fact he was actually able to finish, that's what he needed. He's like, I found out if I keep the pants on, I can actually have sex with you.
It only took me 10 years and to keep my pants on to keep it up. Unreal. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to GTA Dragon.
Woo-wee. So, Aemon, probably the better character from the books, is walking around. He hears the call, the dragon's call. Mm-hmm. So he runs out into the beach. I thought he was going to stumble upon some illicit sexy time.
Yeah, that's what I'm not hoping for, but
and be like Bran, except get away and be like,
oh,
they are fucking. Oh,
I didn't even put that together. Good call.
Yeah, because then you'd have a character who's set. He knows that no, Rhaenyra doesn't deserve the thing because I saw it. I saw the beach time sex, but sorry, not in this dark lit mood.
Sorry, that would have been good, Steven. Not happening.
I'm saying I could do an episode. So he comes across Vhagar, who's now riderless, sleeping. Big old giant dragon.
Big old sleeping dragon.
So he walks up to it and he's like, I wasn't sure he was going to try to pet the dragon at first or what. And he's like, no, I'm going to grab the cool netting. I'm just going to try. Dragon's like, excuse me? Sir, get out of here. You're not on my list. And so he's like, oh.
Name.
And then the dragon kind of goes back to sleep again. He goes to grab again. He's like, "Ha! What you gonna do?" It's like, I'm gonna light your ass on fire now. Dragons give one warning. It's like, then you die.
One strike.
And
bitch.
so it's literally like the mouth is glowing red. He's about to get incinerated, but he just like, fuck it. I don't have my stick, which I know they're afraid of. Should have brought that down here to the beach. That would have taught that dragon a lesson. Instead, he's like, what's the other thing the tamers do? They yell at him in a foreign language. So he does. He yells at the dragon to shut its mouth and then to sit tight so it goes for a ride. And then we get the, I don't know how to ride a dragon. The dragon's like,
ride a dragon?
No one ever really does. Whee! Takes off like a bee bomber. It's like, oh, wow. Because the dragon's so big.
It's so big.
Yeah, it has to it can't just get lift like the younger dragon. It's got to take off. It's a B-52 bomber where it's looking for Japan right now. And yeah, it just glides like, whee! And so, yeah, he's holding on top. Got very Never-Ending Story vibes from that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the girls see it because obviously the eldest girl is like,
no!
I'm going to claim mommy's dragon. I was just letting the dragon mourn. Why I mourned, I claim it in the morning. Mm-hmm. Fucking little prince is like, GTA, stealing this dragon. And that's what they do. They run to Jason like, someone stole a dragon. It's like, what?
Yeah. I will say the effects really good. I will say also the dragon riding. That was a big problem in Thrones that gave people the literal Never-Ending Story vibes because it just did not look right at all. But I will say the dragon riding, they really improved the effects of that.
Yeah.
In this.
Oh yeah.
Riding, I mean, from the perspective of the human on the dragon, not just the dragon. I was like, oh, good. The only problem was this fucking lighting. Like, God, that would have been such a glorious... This scene would have been, like, among some of the best, in terms of action, Game of Thrones. Like, this would have been up there. And, like, sorry, badly lit, not up there anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Valerian girls are witnessing the joyride through the window.
Damon and them see it too. They know something's up.
Good point. That's right. Damon sees it.
They're like, Vagar.
Who the hell's riding Vagar? And I like what you said too. I think they did a really good job of, this guy's got a big ass old dragon. He's got to kind of lumber into getting up his speed. That's a B-52 bomber powering up on the airstrip. And yeah, all of it was the movement of it. I also like there were accents on kind of the bone structure of it that reminded me of a bit of a bat. Like you're really seeing how the wings integrate with the bones, and
it doesn't even land very well. It's just like I hope no one was at this campsite. I just crushed this fire, and everyone knows here. Ugh. Everyone knows the move. Get out the way, bitch.
Ludicrous, yeah, cute ludicrous. All right, so let's move a little faster here. So now we have the kitty fight.
Oh, yes. So Eamon walks in, and the girl's like, do you know someone took the dragon? I was like, I did. It's my dragon. But that was going to be mine. I was like, you should have claimed it. I claimed it. And so he's got, like, newfound resolve.
Your mom's been dead for 12 hours. You should have hurried up, bitch.
It's like, it's still technically daylight, I guess, outside. I don't know.
I guess a clock, so...
So, yeah, and so the girl's like, no, that was going to be our dragon. So they rushes him, and so he just slaps the shit out of the little girl. It's like, girls don't mean nothing to me. Suck it.
And at one point, closed fist punches a girl in the face. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a show. Like, a young teenage boy just decking a female in the face.
I guess once you get your first dragon, man, your blood boils, and you get a big hard peener. You're like, pow! It's like, what you gonna do, you little shits? It's like, you're the one who gave me a pig dragon, now you're gonna get it too. Straight up, he just starts beating up on Jace, and then the little one. And then it's like a 4v1, and he's just like, they knock him to the ground for a second, and then he double fist throws them off, starts beating the shit out of them, grabs a rock, hits the little one in the face. We're like, oh boy. Jason's like, okay, so clearly it's time to, you brought a rock to a knife fight, motherfucker. It's like, I was trying to hold back a little bit. Calm cousin fighting is like, not today. And he's like, whoa, I'm hyped up on dragon fuel, buddy. I just beat GTA. Chase just cuts him across the face, right across the eye. It's like, and then Christian Cole and all the comes like, what the shit?
I thought that was actually, that whole scene was really well shot. I thought it was good pacing for a fight.
Yeah, well lit for a dark hallway.
Yeah, we could actually see it. Well lit for a dark. The dark hallway was better lit than the dark day, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good kid fight. I mean, really good.
Yep.
And yeah, he flat out calls them bastards.
Yeah, he does. Calls them bastards. I'm going to pull a knife on him, cut him across the face. That's what he gets. That was the price. Price of getting the dragon. You lose an eye. Your sister tried to tell you that.
It's all, dude, literally in the behind the scenes. It pissed me off so much. He's like, it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. I'm like, why did you keep that in the behind the scenes? Just edit that out. First of all, the director never should have said that to anyone. Maybe to himself at night. Like, shut up. You know, we keep saying that, like, the behind the scenes make the episode better, which they shouldn't. They should just show us in the episode. That actually made the episode worse, because I'm like, you actually said it out loud. It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. Shut up. Anyway, okay. Then the king gathers everyone involved. This is very much the grandpa, trying to break up the cousin fight, which was for sure a callback to season 1.
Oh, yeah. The whole vibe, it reminded me exactly of season 1.
Which I actually didn't...
Speak the truth, girl. Your king demands it.
And just, kids yelling, and then finally a king going, what the hell am I supposed to do? They all just lie and
they
blah,
berate
blah,
the King's Guard. You're supposed to stop. I wasn't prepared to stop princes from fighting princes.
Yeah, actually, I props to Kristen Cole on that. He's like, we don't normally guard princes from princes. Not an excuse.
It's like, our job entails killing the people who touch the princes.
No, but he is right. I mean, the kids aren't constantly babysat, right? Like, that's not the Kingsguard job, is it?
No, most of the time they're kind of free reign. That's why Aegon gets drunk and bangs hookers, I guess, or servant women,
spidery leg, tall women, as he says.
Yeah, I like things with tall legs too.
Such a terrible fucking line.
Look, that one servant drinks.
So yeah, call back to season 1 for sure. I like that. I actually did like that. I felt like maybe it didn't need to be that close, but I was like, all right, whatever. Damon is loving this conflict.
Oh, well, him and Rhaenyra just get back with, we were walking on the beach, no big deal. It's like, don't you know what happened? It's like, no. And she's looking at her boys all fucked up. And, Aemon's taking it quite well, actually. He's not whining or crying. He's like getting all sewed up there.
He's got his Chucky 3 eye.
Yeah, it's like, yes, the scar will heal, but the eye, gone.
And sorry, that scar is not going to heal. He's going to have a Chucky 3 fucking eye.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time.
Oh, yeah. But I forget who says the line. Somebody in that scene says, an eye for a dragon. Like, the dragon's worth way more than the eye, especially Vhagar. I believe it's the king who actually admits to that. And then it later gets repeated by Otto Hightower. But yeah, they're like, technically it means like nothing. They lost the eye for what he gained.
Yeah, it's like
he gained the most powerful dragon in Westeros. Like, because in this universe, the older the dragon, the hotter the fire. Like, that thing's huge. It's bigger than some of the dragons combined.
Damn.
Very likely its fire could burn other dragons, like, badly. Definitely castle melting potential, because it's as big as Balerion was, and it melted Harrenhal. So, yeah, we're talking, like, big firepower.
And it's cool symbolism, too, of, like, the whole show is, again, about succession and families overpowering each other with dragons. So it's like, by claiming a dragon, you're really claiming dominance. You're kind of, like, mounting the family and humiliating them.
Yeah, which is, again, why I was sad that we didn't get to see this with Laena, because it was a big deal for Laena to claim Vhagar. Vhagar remained unclaimed for a long time because it wouldn't accept any riders. Most of the kids in the show, they're given a dragon egg as normal. It hatches and they immediately bond with it. So they kind of have a baby dragon the entire time that grows with them. So those dragons are inexperienced, just like the kids are. So it's very different when you get the most powerful dragon in Westeros.
Seems important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so break down this conflict here, and then I have my thoughts.
All right, so Alicent is like, straight up, an eye for an eye. Is like, I want Jacaerys' eye. And they're like, no, that's not going to solve anything. And then she straight up is like, Christian Cole, you are to me, bring me his eye. Bring me his eye. And it's like, I'm sworn as your shield. I'm not going to go take some kid's eye. Fucking calm that shit down. And like, she's just losing it. She grabs Viserys' dagger and fucking mad rushes to do it herself. And Rhaenyra just straight catches that shit. Catches
Which is
her
the
arm.
Song of Ice and Fire dagger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which obviously she doesn't know the importance of the thing because Viserys is only told the heir. And so yeah, they're staring at each other, and that's the moment where I really got you just get to do whatever you want. And then she's kind of like, at least I care about my kids, because that's a big contrast. I've seen a couple of comparison like meme photos of like Alicent's kind of got one and it's just crying. She's like, ugh. And then she kind of gives it to the handmaiden and she's like, ugh, I don't really care. Or stop masturbating. Or, ooh, you play with bugs. And she's just not very interested. Maybe it's a reminder of duty and having to be banged by an old guy. But Rhaenyra, on the other hand, is always like with her kids. Like she actually like gives them love and attention. Like she wasn't willing to let some handmaiden go take her younger son, although Joffrey, up to the queen. She carried herself while she was bleeding out, basically. Right. It's like, no, I'll do it. And then so like and maybe that's another reason why they're so different, why they care about family and love, because they have love and attention from their parents. Because obviously Harwood and Strong also spent a lot of time with the kids. And because Laenor didn't. Laenor was off banging dudes and doing whatever.
Yeah. Entertaining his young squires.
Yeah, and it was very different even with the training, which we saw the previous episode, which is Harwin trains the kids and he pays attention to them and tries to help them, while Christian Cole's being a dick and just kind of setting them off against one another. The whole idea of this is that the lineages were teaching hate to the kids, and so they're learning to do that.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, this is why Viserys's kids are fucking bonkers, essentially. But yeah, so
it's like Rhaenyra talks to her kids, Alicent talks at her kids. It's more of like an obligatory.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
Almost a nature versus nurture kind of thing. It's like you let dragons run wild, they're going to be wild.
It was so rushed. It was so badly paced. Yes, at a certain point, Alicent has to snap. I see where this is going, why it's going, where it's going. It's just like, I demand the eye of my nephew. Let's not forget, it's not just some random kid that, Alicent doesn't give a shit about. I mean,
She demanded the eye of the next heir because it's Rhaenyra's eldest son. So that's going to be the king one day.
Right.
It's like, no. It's
yeah.
Like, no.
Like, in what
crazy?
World do you think this is?
No, I don't think so.
Like, if she wanted to have her... I think what they should have shown is like the fire in her eyes during that. And then she sneaks off with her stupid creepy strong and plans some shit. Instead, she just, even if you want to have a blow up in the room, I thought that was good to have a blow up. It's just, I want the eye, and then I'm just going to slash at Rhaenyra. It was dumb.
And it comes from,
I don't know.
She didn't try to slash at Rhaenyra. She was going for the kid, and Rhaenyra intervened.
That's right. Which I thought was even dumber. I'm like, you were actually going for the kid?
Yeah. And of course, and Daemon stops Christian Cole. The other, knight doesn't know what to fucking do. He's like, I can't intervene against any of these fucking people.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
What do I do?
Yeah, because, that's going to go down in history.
I did like. The whole kind of war. What do we do?
They don't know what to do. They're like, this is bad. Like, whoever I, fucking lay a hand on or put a sword through is going to be a big deal.
And that should have been the focus. It's like, that scene should have been the tension of, who are we loyal to? That's all that needed to be.
Yeah, and it still came down to, and then Alicent's, all her idea was yelling at Aegon for not protecting her brother because he was off drunk.
Yeah, slaps him.
Everything is blame somebody else
than
was responsible. And then they're like, where did you hear this vile rumor?
Oh, yeah, then the actual, let's get into this, the actual accusation of the legitimacy.
Yeah, Viserys demands, what is this about? And is like, he questioned the legitimacy of my sons, called them bastards. And it's like, where did you hear this vile rumor? And he does look over at Alicent, but then he says Aegon, because at the same time he's kind of getting since he got his dragon, he's getting his revenge on everyone who picked on him. That includes Aegon too.
Good point.
So he's like, Aegon did. So they're grilling him, and he won't say. He's just like, look at him. I mean, everyone knows. But that's where I thought the line would have been like, it's like, I'm not even as blind as you, father, and I can see that they're bastards. It's like I have one eye. But yeah, and so Viserys is like, oh, hear no more of this.
And he flat out, he's like, we know, everyone knows. Just look at them.
Yeah. It's like, I'll hear no more of this. Shut your fucking mouths. And then, Alicent loses her shit.
Yeah, essentially the king wants everyone to shake hands at this point,
Yeah, and they won't. And so Alicent loses her shit, rushes them, then ends up cutting Rhaenyra, and badly too, because a downward strike, the no suicide slash.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, is
fuck.
she about to drop?
I was like, oh no! But luckily, they saw the wound afterwards, and it was sideways, so it's like, okay, it's a little bit diagonal, so we're not too terrible here.
I kind of wish they did more with that. I wish that caused her to lose a lot more blood, and there would have been a true threat.
Yeah.
Because back then, if you slash somebody that bad, there would be a bleed out, and they don't know what to do with all that blood back then.
Yeah. Also, I wasn't sure what Viserys is going to do. You literally attacked the heir. You attacked his daughter. It's like, come on, lady. You're only important due to marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could be replaced.
And as we know, Viserys isn't nearly as... It's not true love the way he has for Rhaenyra. Not even close. It's not like it was some forbidden love between him and Alicent. It's not like the creepy old man and the young girl, except they were both in love. Like, they were never in love.
No, Otto straight up like set that up. Otto's like, wear your mother's dress and go comfort the king. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Father, I don't want to. I want to be like a normal girl. Yeah, and it was like, and that's why she's so resentful, especially if Rhaenyra gets to kind of do whatever she wants, bang hot knights and stuff.
Daddy, why does she get to bang the hot knights and I don't? All right, so let's speed this up a bit.
Bang that old man.
Oh, so speaking
of daddies,
speaking of daddies and Otto visiting Alicent awkwardly, so Otto visits Alicent once again. He is the hand of the king in a very contrived, rushed way. She thinks Otto at first is going to reprimand her, but he instead praises her. I've never seen that side of you, daughter.
It was weird. That was so sucky too, because, well, it's good Game of Thrones vibe, but it's so sucky because she couldn't believe what she had done, like looking at herself in the mirror essentially, and like if anybody else had come to her, maybe this whole conflict would be avoided to some degree. It's just like if she had accepted the marriage proposal that got offered when Rhaenyra offered the olive branch. That didn't work either. And so instead, Daddy's like, gotta fuel the fire. It's like, ooh, we play an ugly game, bro. And, yeah.
That was so bad.
It's like, you and I are going to prevail because we got Vhagar. It's like, your son was right. It's like, it was worth 1,000 times more than what he got.
So yeah, essentially the high towers now have a dragon.
Yep.
But really, they only have one, right?
No, they have a couple dragons.
Why is that?
Well, you'll see. Well, when we go to our next dragon count.
Yeah,
next dragon count in a second. But yeah, meanwhile, we're getting surgery of Rhaenyra. The kids are there because the kids are always near Rhaenyra.
Yeah, of course, the kids are just watching in very Game of Thrones fashion, like close-up watching graphic surgery.
I think it's because they're concerned. They want to know what's up. And like, you saw how much life and family mean to them. And their mom was that hurt, and she's the one who stepped in between them. Alicent was ready to like fucking feed kids to the wolves and attack Aegon. So she wasn't defending anybody. It's a totally different like parentage.
Got it.
But yeah, so Laenor visits, apologizes, which you know, and then
I will recommit myself to.
I'll do whatever you need. I'll try to couple. We'll do whatever we can. Couples therapy.
Just enough ale where I could think of you as a man.
Can I just masturbate and scoop it in there? Maybe that'll work. I don't know.
There's no in vitro in Westeros?
No.
There's no maester for that? I mean, they have Plan T.
They do have Plan T.
But yeah, Laenor apologizes. He will recommit himself to their arrangement.
Yep. So they're leaving Driftmark. Alicent tries to talk to the king, Viserys. Viserys is like, no, me and Blanky don't want to talk about it. Emma,
speak no more of it.
He's clearly starting to suffer from dementia because he can't really remember who he's with and such. And then as that happens, we see dragons leaving with the ships. And that's where I said, yes, they do have more dragons because obviously Vhagar is there, but there are two others.
That's right.
Well, the two others,
flying over the ships, yeah.
It's Helena's dragon and Aegon's dragon, which Helena's is Sunfire.
Wait, so Helena is a dragon rider at this point?
Yeah, she is a dragon.
But we never see her ride the dragon.
No, we only see her dragon once. That's the dragon that almost lit Aemon on fire.
That would have been so many fun, weird Game of Thrones-esque scenes of like basically a girl, we don't know because it's back then, but we're to pretty much collect that she's on the spectrum, probably. Gifted, if not handicapped in some way. That would have been awesome, like these weird connections between...
Yep.
Yeah, that's annoying.
But hers is a Sunfire, which Sunfire does lay clutches of eggs. So you get eggs from Sunfire as well as Rhaenyra's dragon, Syrax. So one of the eggs, that was the egg Daemon tried to take, which was, that's what she said, that's Sunfire's egg. That doesn't belong to you because Sunfire was Emma's dragon. Okay. So Helena takes Emma's dragon. And then the egg from Sunfire is Dreamfire. And that is Aegon's dragon, is Dreamfire. That's its name. But those are the two that we see further off, and then Vhagar comes by, B-52.
He's like the cargo plane, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Then we got absolutely awful dialogue. Fire is a prison. the sea offers an escape. I mean, good fucking God. And this is right after, it's a dangerous game that we play. I mean, that was less on the nose than Lena Headey actually saying the words, in the Game of Thrones, you will either die or blah, blah, blah. It's like, that was less on the nose than, anyway. So yeah, this is, again, between Daemon and Rhaenyra. Fire is a prison, the sea offers an escape. She's basically saying to him, like, our way of doing business, our Targaryen way, costs us everything. You know, they're kind of having a realization about what it means to be a Targaryen, which was kind of interesting. But what's most important is that, you know,
creepy strong.
And it goes back and forth, but let's do one at a time. So let's finish up the Daemon and Rhaenyra stuff real quick. Where it's, you know, she's like, I need you, uncle. I can't fight the Greens alone. And she basically proposes to Daemon.
Yeah, and finally the reference to the Greens versus the Blacks, because they were wearing green, which represents Alicent's side, and Rhaenyra's finally wearing black, representing the Targaryen side.
And just this idea, again, it's like, I can't fight the Greens. It's like, we haven't established there's a full-on fight yet. Just stop saying dumb shit. We know there's a fight coming. And then they also realized together that she's like, well, we cannot, he says to her, we cannot marry unless Laenor was dead. And then she's like, yes, I know. Whatever. But this is cut back and forth in a very annoying way of editing. In the ship from Driftmark, where Creepy Strong resubmits his services to the Queen. A perversion of justice. The young prince defiles. Shut up.
If it's an eye you want. And she's like, if a time may come where I'll need your skills and discretion. And yet he just still stands there creepily, just like, she didn't dismiss me, so I will sit here. Yeah, die already.
And again, the line, a time may come when I need your discretion. Yeah. We know at some point you're going to call upon him. Why are you telling the fucking audience this? So Jedi Daemon then pays off Carl with a cue. There are places across the narrow sea where homosexuality is accepted and you can be a rich gay prince somewhere.
Yep, because money will buy you everything, titles, whatever you want.
This too. It's like, so all of a sudden he's just, and you said in the book that this happens, but however it's delivered in the show, I do not buy that just with some money, and it's, people do this, they will screw over a lover for money.
And that's because also in the book, he is not accepted at all on Driftmark.
For the homosexuality?
Yeah, they don't like that Laenor even brought this guy. He doesn't need to be there. He's not respected. And so, like, it's a lot of stuff weighing on him in the book specifically. So
that would have been good setup.
Money, which only got one. Go get your patron. That's it. I don't tolerate you. And so now he's in the hall. Daemon takes a dude out, and he's there. Laenor's upset, and they start sword fighting. But people won't get there in time. As Corus gets there and they pull a body out of the fire. Oh no, it's Laenor. He's barbecued in the fire.
And you actually hear the skin burning, which I liked that. Yeah, the hissing.
Like, ooh, fresh from Waffle House.
And the god-awful, once again, voiceover of, this is what's really happening, but watch what doesn't look like is actually, just fucking show us or tell us. It drives me absolutely crazy. It's like the third episode. The last one was the second of which ended with a rat and voiceover, the departed rat. This one, at least we didn't get another fucking departed rat, but God. Sorry. This makes me angry.
Yep, but we get our blood wedding, blood and fire.
This was cool. I love the shot, how it was shot. Really good
wearing
close-ups.
Traditional Targaryen clothes, wedding garbs, which are similar to the suit is similar to what the Dragon Keepers wear too, which is because they wear traditional Targaryen stuff as well.
Oh, cool.
Dragons only respect you if you wear the right clothes and carry a big stick.
Then they won't torch you.
Yeah. But yeah, they literally like cut themselves, put blood on their faces and their lips.
Hot, like cutting the lips.
Yeah, and then they smoochies with the blood, and then they grab their hand with the blood dripping. It's like, now our bloodlines are united, like you'll see in next week's opening. The bloodlines will probably pour into the same one. Very likely. And then it ends with a shot of a hooded figure. He reveals the hood. He's getting on a boat. Oh, it's Laenor. They didn't kill him.
Shave-headed Laenor.
Yeah, because we can't have anybody with white hair, because they'd recognize him immediately. So this is a departure from the book because he actually does get killed. So I don't know why they kept him alive other than they didn't want to kill the gay guy on the series. That's the only thing I can assume.
Yeah.
Because this now is going to be weird with his dragon. Because, like, the dragon know if the dude is alive or not. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, look, he dead. You get new writer now? Seasmoke could be like, no. Actually. So, like, what the hell is going to happen with that? Is he going to actually use Seasmoke later on? I don't know. Obviously, we got to go do some more Stepstone stuff. With Crab Feeder 2, Octopus Feeder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was a reveal that it was very, like, it was kind of cool, but it was more just like, oh, you thought he was dead and now he's not. But when you really start to, again, think about it, it's like, does that mean much for the show in terms of succession? Does that just cause us more confusion? Do I care?
The thing is, a part of Game of Thrones is if you never see a person die, you can't assume that they're dead. So when we see them cut away, you're like, well, we can't assume that he's dead and it's just a random person burned. It would have been much better for us to wonder if he died or didn't die. But instead, they just straight take the mystery away and like, nope, he's alive. We don't want anyone upset. We need Twitter armor.
Twitter armor. Yeah, it's like, what?
Okay, I would have just preferred to go, why would they cut away unless they were hiding something? Like,
right, which would have paid off better in a later episode. Yeah, you do that as like your season finale, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You could have even just had like someone try to claim Seasmoke and Seasmoke deny them and be like, well, that's weird.
It's like for the 50th time, with television, you have plenty of time. Stop rushing this shit.
Yeah.
God, dude.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts on Driftmark, Steven?
Like I said, better than the last two. Lots of dragons. We're finally building into the conflict that this main chapter of the books is about, which is the Dance of the Dragons, which is going to be a lot of dragon fighting. So I hope they plan to pour that into these last few episodes with our last cast change, which will get the cool Aemon actor. I mean, in the book, there are some awesome dragon fights, so we'll see. Awesome. And again, there's 3 episodes left. That's a pretty for a 10 episode season. That's a pretty significant chunk. I'm not going to say any final thoughts because they're not positive, and I've already said my piece. I gave you guys some. Hey, 7 dragons. Yeah. So that's our final dragon count was 7. So that was dope. And the other thing I'll say is, again, I'm excited for the next 3. So once again, this has been our recap review of season 1, episode 7 of House of the Dragon Driftmark. We were recording live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop. I can never say it right. That's okay. We got comics, we got games. Sunny Jensen Beach, Florida. Stop in for both comics and games. We got Song of Ice and Fire games as well, right, Steven? Oh, yeah. Please subscribe to both audio and here in the channel. Audio, we're on Spotify and YouTube, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. Follow us on Instagram at House of the Dragon Pod. Again, we did have a Instagram comment, but we'll get to that next week because I think it's a kind of a prediction for next episode, so I think it'll work better then. Yeah. But yes, we do have to open the shop. Once again, I have been Benjamin. Thank you for joining.